You're not my dad!
What up, Hope Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. So I took my braids out finally, and I'm going in to get my hair dyed in a couple of days. So keep an eye out for a new hairstyle. Well, actually just a new hair color. My new hairstyle won't be till like the end of the month. So you guys won't get to see that for a couple weeks. But yeah, I'm changing my hair color yet again. You know that I can never keep the same hair color for too long. Otherwise it starts getting real stale. Dr. D actually recently had to talk me out of bleaching my eyebrows, because I was just like, but I just feel like it would look so cool and editorial. And she was like, you're gonna hate it. Like, you think that you're gonna like it, but you're not gonna like it. So don't do it, because it'll take you it'll take you forever to get used to it, and you'll be miserable in the meantime. And I was like, I guess you're right. Because when I first had to get my hair cut, I was like, yeah, gung-ho, big chop. It's gonna be good, so good and healthy for my hair. And then she actually cut my hair, and I was just like, I'm bald. It was very upsetting. I was very upset. It didn't help that she had dyed my hair the wrong colors. My hair was supposed to be baby blue and pink, half and half. But she was like, oh, well, the way I'm gonna cut it, a half and half look, is gonna look weird. So why don't we do one color at the base and another color at the tips? But then the colors you picked won't work for that. So my hair ended up being aqua and magenta. It was very upsetting. It was very upsetting. Y'all never saw that. I made sure y'all didn't see that, but I can talk about it now. I can joke about it now. Anti-who's-in, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe and satisfied. I guess also satisfied, but sanitized is what I meant. Today we are here to watch some hood nature. This video is called Meet the World's Worst Roommate, which gives me literally no indication of what this video is about, but I am ready. I am stoked. Shaw did. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
If you think your life sucks, be glad you're not this fish. This fish has a parasite called Simathoa exigua, but its real name is a tongue-eating louse. And that's because it'll enter the fish by climbing through the gills and crawling into its mouth. Then this parasite cuts all the blood vessels in the tongue until it shrivels up and dies. And this parasite becomes the tongue. For as long as the host fish is alive, the tongue eater lives rent-free in its mouth, either feeding off of whatever the fish eats or straight up living off the blood of its host.
What?
Fish use their tongues to help them swallow food, but with its original tongue destroyed, the tongue eater helps keep the fish alive by bringing food down its throat.
Oh.
But honestly, that's the very least they can do. Now the messed up part is, if that parasite dies, then the fish will probably become a pack too, since it won't be able to eat and it'll starve to past tense.
Oh my God.
It's the only parasite that actually replaces one of the body parts of its host, and once it does, it's there for life because the fish becomes dependent on it.
What?
Yeah, it's a toxic relationship. To add insult to whatever the you want to call this, if the fish dies, the parasite can always move on by detaching itself from the stub of a tongue and swimming out the fish's mouth. Probably to find the next victim to leech off.
fuck?
Like Instagram models with child support. See you, Brittany Renner. So yeah, kind of a dick move. At least after this parasite blinds the shark by eating its cornea, it acts as a fishing lure which helps a Greenland shark catch more food. But the tongue eater hands the fish a disability only to end up as its crutch. Cause just like people, you don't need venom to be toxic as
Oh my God. Now what the hell is this?
This is one of the nastiest things in the entire ocean. This is a hagfish, and its claim to fame is that if it feels afraid or threatened in any way, it'll start releasing loads of slime. The idea is that if you try to eat it, the end game involves choking to death on demon discharge. A motivated hagfish can fill a 5-gallon bucket full of slime in only a couple of minutes. Basically, it's like a... How do I say this without getting banned? It's like this, but in Spanish. I don't think I'm allowed to explain any further. It's honestly to the point where even sharks avoid them.
What is that but in Spanish? Somebody inform me, por favor.
Because the hagfish can produce so much slimy, gooey nonsense that it can actually clog the shark's gills and basically choke them.
Oh shit.
This is what happens when a car-carrying hagfish gets rear-ended. Because hagfish slime themselves in fear, it shut down traffic on both sides for 3 hours. All while making the roads look like a humpback that just discovered whale hub.
Oh,
That's
disgusting.
not even the worst thing about them, because I didn't tell you how this satanic waterworm eats. The hagfish will bury itself into a corpse and eat the rotting, decaying body that was probably laying there for days, from the inside out. And as a scavenger with no jaws, the hagfish often enters the body through the softest spot, which is usually the back door exit. This is what happens when the save as draft button is too small and you end up posting some bullshit instead.
It's just come straight at me again.
This
Oh,
video
how
is so
intimidating
fucking
is this? Yes!
Look
So
at it.
apparently there's a lot of people that didn't know we have snakes in the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your ex at the beach. I'm talking about the venomous, toxic, kill you kind.
Yeah, water
that did narrow it down. Nah, but sea snakes are an actual thing. There's almost 60 species of them, and after
They're so
years of plot
cute.
development, they've adapted to live where they honestly have no business. Because they have larger lungs than normal, some of them can hold their breath for 8 hours.
Goddamn.
You can clock in for a shift at work and still leave the building before this snake needs air. That's because some of these snakes can absorb oxygen through their skin. Also, these snakes can dive up to 300 feet straight down, because of course they can. If you didn't already know that, this right here is probably the worst possible way to find out. And because that obviously just wasn't enough, some of the most venomous snakes on the planet are actually the ones in the ocean.
Yep.
This is an olive sea snake, and it's toxic enough to put 60 men the gods recently deleted. And then you have the black banded sea crate, whose venom is 10 times stronger than a cobra's. They're naturally shy though, so they won't attack you unless you honestly give them a reason. But when you have the power to put an entire family reunion in the dirt, the least nature can do is make you an introvert. Also, this snake will create an optical illusion that makes it look like it's facing the other direction and swimming backwards. Meaning, if you try to grab one and pick the wrong end, you can go from an is to a was expeditiously.
Goddamn.
But the biggest op of all is probably the Belcher's sea snake. They're not super dangerous because they rarely bite, and when they do, they don't release all their venom. That being said, because it's the most venomous snake in the ocean, they can put 100 men in coffins with one bite. Symptoms after getting bit include muscle pain, tongue swelling, convulsions, and eventually becoming a story on the 9 o'clock news. Now, I could be wrong, but that might have been the snake in this video. So yeah, this is proof that nature does not care about your feelings. This fish is the most Australian f***ing thing ever.
I love these
Honestly,
fish.
a middle
They're
finger
so
from
cute.
nature. Most animals have to choose, like you can have camouflage like the snow leopard that's
Okay, homie said got to choose, and it just, I don't know. In my head, just that Kiss song started playing. It's like, ooh, got to choose who's your baby. Like, I don't know. Y'all probably don't listen to Kiss, so I don't know. What y'all know about Kiss, okay? What y'all know about the Rolling Stones? What y'all know about Peter Frampton? What y'all know? Y'all don't know. But anyway, that's what I thought of. He said, got to choose, and I was like, ooh, got to choose who's your baby. Like, I was in it. I was in it for a minute, guys. I gotta go back because I actually don't know what the fuck he was talking about because that's what happened in my brain.
Most animals have to choose, like you can have camouflage like the snow leopard that's looking right at you, or you can stand out but only by being toxic like this frog, or you can be this hellspawn with gills and be both. Because if the stonefish doesn't move, it can cosplay as just another rock in the water.
Right.
The bad news is, it's the most venomous fish on the planet with dorsal spines as sharp as hypodermic needles. If you accidentally step on a stonefish, those spines will extend and penetrate through your skin, all while injecting you with a life-threatening venom that, if not treated, can turn you into a hashtag in less than 2 hours. This homicide guppy produces
Look at
toxins
her
that can cause
foot!
excruciating pain, swelling, tissue death, and everything death.
No.
One victim told ABC News that getting stung felt like getting hit with a sledgehammer for an hour straight. And again, if you don't get medical attention fast enough, 60 Minutes won't just be a show on CBS, it'll be your expiration date. Scientifically speaking, that's a dick move. Because you see, most poisonous and venomous animals have the decency to at least warn you before they airdrop you the God's own
advertise
box.
themselves.
This octopus will flash its blue rings, and the dart frog's bright colors are to warn the jungle senses that touching it means touching the heaven gates. But like a true menace, a stonefish doesn't give a warning until it's 6 inches deep in your foot. Fun fact, there's 4 of them in this picture. Oh, and because Australia lives on veteran difficulty, the stonefish can survive out of water for up to 24 hours.
Now you piece of
Also,
shit.
its venom lowers your white blood cell count, meaning you can catch an infection even after you get treated. All that from a fish that looks like a rock. It's like if stop signs were made in Braille. It's like a red flag, but you're colorblind. Because in Australia, mistaking a stonefish for the first part of its name can get you put under a stone. This fish and whoever made it. Are we really just gonna ignore the fact that killer whales give sharks PTSD? Welcome to Animal Logic, let's talk about it. Orcas are the most disrespectful animal on the planet, and that's exactly what happens when no one can check you. Other than humans, the only thing that can take on an orca and win is a bigger orca. Because they're the top of the food chain, orcas bully the entire underwater census, and they legitimately traumatize great white sharks. If Jaws happens to encounter an orca near their hunting grounds, they'll
And by people, I mean like seafaring creatures.
and in the area for up to a year. And for good reason. Orcas actually figured out that if they flip over sharks, they can induce tonic immobility, paralyzing the shark while the Bundy dolphins take its liver, heart, testes, and probably its life too. Killer whales have been seen punting seals up to 80 feet in the air just like a field goal. Researchers believe they do this to either paralyze the seal or loosen its skin. But there's always that chance that these psychopaths do this because they find joy in putting a seal in the clouds. They're also intelligent enough to work together to create a wave that's so powerful that it knocks the seal completely off the ice.
Because they're assholes.
And just when he thinks he's safe on the beach, Steroid Flipper reminds him it's an orca's world and he just lives in it. And even though they're built like an 8 to 12,000 pound equality symbol, they can launch themselves up to 15 feet in the air. Really bad news if you're a bottlenose in the wrong place. And they slap stingrays. just cause they can. This swimming sociopath is the most oppressive force in the entire ocean, and even though a wild orca has never caused a human obituary, some have started ramming into sailing boats off the coast of Spain and Portugal, damaging the boats and injuring the crew. Considering orcas are one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet, there was 100% malicious intent.
Absolutely.
And because this ocean Oreo has a range of almost everywhere, a grocery list of almost everything, and their weaknesses only exist in fiction, the homicidal sea panda is truly a cheat code. Killer whales go through menopause, and it makes them the best grandma.
Okay, I feel cheated because homie surprised me with whale content in this video. So like, I'm very uncomfortable right now.
In the ocean. So orcas can live for 50, 60, some even reach 80 years, but the female will stop being able to have kids at around 30 to 40. Normally shutting down the baby factory that early would be bad, but the female orcas that can't have kids anymore will then focus on raising their kids' kids. These grandmother orcas will lead their pod, using their decades of experience to teach all the younger ones the best places to find food. And in true grandmother fashion, the killer whales that grow up around this granny orca have a better chance of surviving and having kids of their own.
So what you're telling me is we gotta take out the grannies. If we take out the grannies, it's basically like cutting them off at the knees. Good to know.
And since the oldest orca was allegedly as old as the Titanic, they can even end up raising their great-grandchildren. By being that old head that we all need in our lives, the grandma sea panda makes sure that her genes keep getting passed down to the next generation by looking after her grandchildren. This grandmother effect is because female orcas that don't have their own children to worry about have more time to focus on teaching and looking after their grandkids. Moral of this video: orcas are homicidal equality symbols that are the biggest bullies in the ocean. Yeah. But they're also the biggest grandmama's boys on the planet, and that is the most wholesome thing I can ever say about them. This is the stupidest thing I've ever gotten mad about, but I'm making this video because if I have to have this argument one more time, I'm gonna lose whatever's left of my mind.
I'm ready.
Squidward is not a squid.
No, he's an octopus.
He's an octopus. Don't comment yet, I know you're gonna say it. Octopus have 8 tentacles, and this punching bag with a nose has 6. That's literally only because they thought it'd be easier to animate him that way. Also, if he were a squid, he'd have 2 longer feeding tentacles that he'd have to drag around everywhere. Also, octopus have round bulbousy heads and squids have triangle-shaped domes.
Right.
In case you don't believe me, because I know some of you won't, the literal creator of the show said it. You don't gotta listen to me, but I wish you would try to tell the man that drew the talking sponge that he's wrong. I mean, you can't now, but damn. In case you're wondering why his name is Squidward, well, Octoword just sounds stupid.
Yeah.
You know what, since we're on the subject, some male octopus pack their, baby making equipment on their mantle near their head, and it's called the hectocotylus. So yeah, 2 things. That might not be a nose, and there's a reason bro never wears pants.
No! Now, bitch, what the hell?
That is an Australian giant cuttlefish.
What the
Normally
fuck?
having Australian and giant in your name means you're a menace to society, but they're actually pretty chill.
No,
it's a cephalopod, meaning it's basically the little brother of octopus and squid. Cuttlefish have W-shaped pupils to balance out uneven levels of light where they live. And they can see forms of light that are pretty much invisible to us. Also, in an experiment, scientists put 3D glasses on cuttlefish, and it turns out they use depth perception just like us. Something about this just makes me happy. Cuttlefish can also change colors and patterns in seconds, and as breathing kaleidoscopes, they'll use this to hypnotize crowds before they retire them from life. But they can also use this color change to hide to avoid being put on the shirt themselves. Seriously, he's in there somewhere. Also, since the males are bigger than the females, some of the smaller males will pretend to be females. Ooh. By changing his skin pattern and hiding the special arm that only the males have, this crossdresser sneaks past the other guys and then plants his seed in the female when the others aren't looking.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're really smart. How smart, you ask? Well, it turns out they're smart enough to pass a snack test. Y'all remember that TikTok trend where they would put a snack in front of a little kid and then tell them not to eat it so they could get a better snack? Well, it turns out cuttlefish can be trained to have self-control. The best ones would resist eating a treat that was right in front of them for almost 3 minutes, as long as it meant they got a better treat in return. Moral of this video: cuttlefish are really freaking cool.
Yeah. That was great. That was a great video. I really enjoyed that. Also, that video about the cuttlefish reminded me of that movie that me and the girls watched about psychosexual cephalopods, and I don't remember what the name of the movie is anymore, but it was hilarious and also very bad. It was super bad. It was like a thriller. It was terrible. It's on Hulu, which I don't even have Hulu anymore, so I can't check. But yeah, it was bad, but also great. Anti-Whosin, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. Also, just a reminder that your girl is streaming 2 to 3 times a week. So if you're not in my stream, what is you doing? What is you doing? Anyways, I am gonna leave. So other than that, peace out, ho biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.